All right, let's jump right in. We're going to uncover the story of a forgotten genius. I'm talking about a man who literally laid the foundation for modern surgery, a full 1,000 years before most people think it even began.
Okay, think about this for a second. When you picture a surgeon's toolkit, what comes to mind? Probably a modern, sterile operating room, right? A scalpel, forceps, maybe some stitches. But what if I told you that the very heart of that toolkit, well, its history goes back way further than you'd ever guess.
So where do we look? Not the Renaissance, not the Victorian era. Nope, we have to rewind the clock. We're talking a full millennium all the way back to the heart of what was then Muslim Spain. That's where we find the source. And that source is this man right here, Abu al-Qasim al-Zahrawi. You might also see his name as Al-Bukasis in Western texts. Now look, his name might not ring a bell today, but for hundreds and hundreds of years, he was considered the undisputed master of surgery. The top guy, period.
And don't just take my word for it. This isn't some, modern historian looking back. This quote comes from a leading European surgeon who was writing 500 years after Al-Zahrawi was even alive. Just let that sink in. His influence was so massive, it lasted for half a millennium. That's just incredible.
So who was this guy? To really get a handle on his genius, we first have to understand the pretty remarkable world he lived in.
All right, let's place him in time. Al-Zahrawi was born way back in 936 AD, near Cordoba. He ends up becoming a court physician and practices medicine for a solid 50 years. And his life's work, this huge encyclopedia called Al-Tasrif, he finishes it right around the year 1000. Just to put that into perspective for you, this is the height of the Middle Ages. We're not even close to the Renaissance yet.
And, he wasn't just working in some dusty backwater. Not at all. He was in Cordoba, which was this thriving, buzzing capital of Al-Andalus during its golden age. This was the place to be, a time when science, medicine, and philosophy were just exploding with new ideas. It was the absolute perfect environment for a mind like his to really take off.
So, what was this incredible legacy he left behind? Well, it wasn't just one invention or one idea. No, it was something truly monumental. A massive 30-volume encyclopedia covering basically all of medical knowledge.
It's called Al-Tasrif. The name basically means the method of medicine. And just try to imagine this. 30 entire volumes. It's a summary of everything a master physician learned over a 50-year career. This thing was the ultimate medical guide for its time. The absolute Bible.
And when I say it covered everything, I mean everything. We're talking pharmacology, nutrition, midwifery. He even gets into psychotherapy. And what's really amazing is how he wrote about the importance of the doctor-patient relationship. He stressed this ethical duty to treat everyone, no matter their social status. That's a pretty holistic and, frankly, modern view of medicine for the 10th century, right?
But okay, his work wasn't just theory and philosophy, not by a long shot. The final volume of Al-Tasrif, that one was dedicated entirely to surgery. And folks, this is where he would literally change the course of medicine forever.
Okay, get ready for this number. Over 200. That's right, over 200 surgical instruments that Al-Zahrawi personally designed, drew, and introduced to the world. And he didn't just draw them. He gave detailed instructions on how to make them and exactly how to use them. So many of these had just never been seen before.
Let's talk specifics. You know dissolvable stitches? Well, Al-Zahrawi was the guy who pioneered using catgut for internal stitches. He was the one who figured out, hey, this is a natural substance the body can just absorb on its own. It was a completely revolutionary idea at the time, and it is the direct ancestor of the dissolvable sutures we use in every operating room today. A straight line, 1,000 years long.
He also invented the very first obstetrical forceps, designed to help with really difficult childbirths. Think of the countless lives that must have saved. And the craziest part? The basic design of that tool, it's still a critical piece of equipment in delivery rooms all over the world, 1,000 years later.
And he wasn't just inventing individual tools. He was creating entire procedures. Take, for example, the incredibly painful and often deadly problem of bladder stones. He didn't just invent one thing for it. No, he created a whole system. He designed a special scalpel with 2 sharp edges just for the incision. Then he invented these crushing forceps and even a little driller. The whole technique was about crushing the stone inside the body so it could be removed piece by piece, safely. It was brilliant. And honestly, the list of his firsts just keeps going and going. He was the first person to describe the hereditary nature of hemophilia. Why? Because he actually observed a family where all the men kept dying from really minor cuts. He was the first to describe an ectopic pregnancy, the first to use cotton as a medical dressing to stop bleeding. He even invented the modern surgical needle we still use. I mean, the list is it's staggering.
Okay, so this begs the question, right? If this guy was so brilliant, why isn't he a household name? Why don't we all learn about him in school? Well, the truth is, his knowledge did spread. It just took a very, very long journey.
So let's trace that journey. It starts in Cordoba, around the year 1000. About 200 years later, in the 12th century, his massive encyclopedia gets translated into Latin, and from there it just takes off. It becomes a foundational textbook in all the big new universities popping up across Europe. And this wasn't some fad, you know? It stayed a core reference book for doctors and surgeons for over 500 years, well into the Renaissance.
And you can actually measure his influence directly. Check this out. In the 14th century, a guy known as the father of French surgery, Guy de Chauliac, wrote his own huge medical book. And in it, he quotes Al-Zahrawi over 200 times. That tells you everything you need to know about how fundamental, how absolutely crucial his ideas were to the development of surgery in Europe.
You know, the story of Al-Zahrawi is such a powerful reminder that history is way more complex and interconnected than the simple version we often get. It really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? If a figure this monumental, this foundational, could be almost completely forgotten by popular history. Who else is out there? What other giants of science are just waiting to be rediscovered in the pages of history?